in on you first. How are you doing? I'm Dr. Torri J, founder and CEO of this lovely foundation. And tonight we're going to have a part two of a conversation that has gotten really, really deep. We're going to do a little makeshift situation tonight to get Aaron on the call. Let me see. Really, really deep. Ha! You can hear me. I don't want you to hear me. Let me see. I'm going to share. I'm going to share it on a couple of things and get some more people to join us. I want to know how you guys are doing tonight. Yep, I want to know how you're doing tonight. Let me know who's here. I know I was a couple minutes late, so it'd give you guys a moment to jump on. Oops. Yep, so I need to know who's on here. Let me see what my page says. Let me make sure on gender, identity, and are you guys ready for this conversation? I am, because I'm excited to have somebody as candid as Aaron is, as open to share his journey. Let's kind of break down some of the stuff we talked about. What we're going to have to do, because Aaron is having issues with his internet connection. Okay. So, him having issues with his internet connection is kind of causing us not to be. I tried Zoom and I tried Facebook doesn't allow you to do a dual window that I know of. If you guys know of anything, let me know. And well, even if it could, his internet in his house is really, really bad. They made a mistake. And so they're supposed to come out tomorrow to help fix this. However, um, he has not been able to get that rectified. So we're going to do a little makeshift. I'm going to have him on the phone, and you will be able to hear the questions and our conversation, but you won't be able to see him, unfortunately. So this is the makeshift we're going to do. I asked for you guys to let me give the breakdown of Healing Tuesdays, because as I say, I got to come up with a Healing Tuesday jingle. Maybe I will ask Chris Cole to do a Healing Tuesday jingle. How about that? Um, he's the client that I shared his country music video. We did say we were gonna sing a song together one day because I sent him some music that I have done before. And we said we're gonna sing together. So maybe we can figure out a Healing Tuesday jingle that I sing, that he writes and I sing. We'll see how that works, but we need a Healing Tuesday jingle. I see Becca is on here. I see you guys are coming on. I want to I want to break down that we have on Healing Tuesdays. It's I want to make sure this is muted. Hold on, because I'm pulling up a different screen so I can see your comments. Hold on. Hey, Nydia. See, I can't always see that the way I want to see it on V Live for some reason. Okay, got it before it blared in your ears. Let's see. Okay, B Live is officially working, but I can't always see who's on, and that's what I want to see. How is my screen for you guys? Is it okay? But I want to get into please share this video. If you know someone who's having issues with their fatherless journey, they need healing, they have had gender identity issues, I would even tell you to tell parents to jump on who know that their children are struggling through this process of, them being absent and not really sure, or single moms. You don't know what your children are going through right now and you're kind of confused. We are talking about the stage 5 of development. What happens in that stage? What's happening in that stage is exploration, identity questions, all of these things. And this conversation is really to discuss how fatherlessness impacts our identity, our gender identity, the gender confusion, and all the stuff that we see and hear going on in the LGBTQIA community. I give them all their letters. Um, hey, Becca, it's good to see you. Um, we're having these conversations simply because we want people to understand that it's happening to a lot of kids, especially those who are raised in fatherlessness. This is not about getting you delivered from your homosexuality or any other letter that you identify with, but it's intended to help you connect the dots to your pain. The reason I'm going to have Aaron come on is simply because I know his story. I'm going to call him right. Look, I'm going to call him right now. We're going to put Aaron on speakerphone while I'm introducing him to the call. Okay, so I want you guys to tell me if you can hear him and all of that other good stuff. Okay, Aaron, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you guys got to tell me if you can hear Aaron. I'm going to introduce you. I told him we're doing a little makeshift because the internet situation is what it is.
Yes.
Um, and I have a speaker here just in case. How about I turn the
Okay.
speaker on? I think the Bluetooth speaker might help with the level.
It should help with the level
Yeah.
quality of sound.
Yep. It'll give it a sound that we. So, how I met Aaron. Let's as we're connecting to the speaker. Aaron was my twerking dance instructor at the Y. he my he my dance fitness instructor. Aaron, we for fun. Aaron, okay, they said yes, they can hear you. Okay,
All right.
Vark said get the speaker. Okay, tell me, um, is there any feedback? Keep talking, Aaron, really quickly. Just say testing, testing.
Testing, testing, one, two, three.
Is there any
Testing,
feedback, you guys? Can you hear him? Okay, I think they're saying yes. I think that's a yes. Um, so
Okay.
so Aaron, it was this is how crazy our meeting was. So Aaron was the instructor. I was trying a bunch of different classes. I finally got and took his class. I was like, yes, this is what I've been looking for. Him and another girl, Jessie, but I had taken his class first, and I was like, this is the class I've been looking for. Okay, no feedback. Okay, so in the midst of taking the class, he had emailed me like a couple of weeks before. Aaron, is that
It was a couple of months
okay? A
actually.
couple months before. Okay, on Instagram, and I was still getting used to checking the messages on Instagram. And he was talking about his fatherless situation. And one day, I think you came up to me and said, "Are you Dr. Torri J?" or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, he came up to me, and he's my instructor, and he was like, "You look mighty familiar." Basically, is what he was saying. And Aaron had sent me this heartfelt um, email on Instagram. I should see if I can find that because I think that would be, I didn't think about it until just now. I think that might be a great segue. And I'll read, certain
Oh yeah, that,
parts. Let me
oof,
see.
that was a while ago. You sure you can find it?
I don't even know. What is it? Love, Aaron. What's your,
No, it would have. Well, it still might come up, but my name then was Aaron Derrell official.
let me see. It's searching. That was so long ago. When I tell you, it was at least, it was at least a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm gonna see if I can find it. But Aaron was reaching out because he was trying to see if I could help him reunite with his father, and he gave me this real heartfelt um, email. And then when he asked me who I was, and I was like, "Wait, I just read that. I had just read his email, and I was like, this is crazy that we meet like this. It's a small world, you guys." And from that time, we started talking in class, and there were things that okay, there are things that we discussed that helped me learn more about who he is. And he's the person that I talked about, the whole conversation of last week when we were on Broken, Born Broken last week. It was the part where he was saying, I know I'm picking relationships out of the fact that I didn't have the father that I needed. And then I asked him, well, how do you resolve that? And we're going to get more into that tonight. But this is the person. I have friends from all walks of life, and we can talk candidly. And that's what I love about Aaron. We've had a lot of conversations, Aaron, now that I think about
Mm-hmm.
it. He said,
Yep.
And so, Aaron, let's get into the questions that I sent him a couple questions because I wanted to kind of help steer the conversation. But y'all know my people on here, Aaron, are engaging. They
Okay.
they will ask you questions. They will say things. They will, you know what I'm saying? So they'll get involved in the conversation. More people will jump on here shortly. But let's because the later it gets, the more people jump on. So Aaron,
Right.
I want to know and speak up. My husband said speak up. Just make sure you speak up. I want to know what your childhood was like. Like first memories. What was that like for you?
My first memories, I was a kid that I stood out always because I was very kind. I was very sweet. Um, but I also was like a baby. I was a typical boy. I played, I ran, and all of that. But the first sign of me getting hurt, I was always crying. I was a
You were
huge crybaby.
sensitive. You were
As
sensitive. We won't call it
Yes, I was
crybaby.
sensitive. Yeah, sensitive as a kid. Yes. It was just my mom and I. Um, yeah, I was the only child until I was 15. But yeah, it was just us two forever.
Ever.
And
Yeah.
then yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I went to a Christian school from kindergarten to 8th grade. One of the only few black kids. For y'all who don't know, I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska, and that's where I reside now. Born and raised, but I left to go to school in other cities. So yeah, that was pretty much. I had pretty.
Regular
I guess
childhood is basically what you're
yeah,
talking
regular
about.
childhood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing unique. So, when did you recognize that you were fatherless, or did you? No, you
Well,
had
I
to at
was
some point.
no, yeah. Like as I think about it, it was pretty young. I would say maybe six, 6 or 7.
Hmm.
Um, because I mean, I real like my mom. She, dated here and there, but never had any guys that like, their own. Um, and she just, she had her friends. She had friends, like literally friends that would come by and hang out, and then she had, her whoever she was dating. Wasn't many, very, very few. But I realized, I guess I was fatherless. I was a very smart kid too. That thing I left out. I was very smart. So I remember someone had ran up to me, or they spotted me, and they said that, "Oh wow, you look like a Reed's boy." And I was like, at the time, I knew um, that I thought that my father's name was Tyrone Reed, and I would say, "Oh yeah, so and so is my dad." At
Mm.
6, I'm saying this, not knowing the truth or the whole history behind
Right.
that. But yeah, so it was right around the age of 6 that I
And
knew.
had you met your father at that point, or no? You just knew the name.
No, I just knew a name.
So 6 or 7, you recognized that you were fatherless. Was there something that
Hmm.
happened that kind of defined that moment that made you go, "Whoa, I'm not. I don't have what I need," or "I'm fatherless," or it was just people asking you questions?
Um, so fatherless in the sense of I'm missing something or feeling that I'm missing something that I realized when I was older, I would say. But as a kid, it was just like I didn't have a dad. Actually, nope. Okay, Lord, thank you. The moment just hit me. Okay, circa 10. No, I'm kidding. 2025. No, I'm saying, okay. So I'm very animated, people.
Yes, he is. That's
So
why I wish he could be on video.
uh, I know, right? Sorry. So at 10, I had a really good friend of mine. He's like family. TJ. We lived on the same block, and he would go to Florida to stay with his dad for the summer. And I think that's the first time because me and TJ we had just connected. We had hung out like maybe months. We had been. I would go down to his mom's house. His grandmother lived next door. They always looked out for me. But when TJ left for the summer, it hit me hard.
Mm.
Um, because not just because he was leaving, but because he gets to go with his dad. And I remember, I kind of got emotional about it. Like, wow, I don't get to do that. And my mom didn't know how to handle it. You know what I'm saying? Because she didn't know. You know what I'm saying? My mom's a tough cookie. and she was the main one, trying to be. She wasn't an over nurturer. If anything, she was very strong and or trying to be strong for me, and didn't allow me to, express those emotions too much because she didn't want me to be seen as sensitive.
Right.
But yeah, that moment was definitely the
You.
moment I remember feeling fatherless.
So this is interesting that you even say the age 10, because talking about this particular conversation about gender identity, we're talking about really the fifth stage of development, and that's 10 to 18, if I remember the correct. Yeah. And so at 10, you become aware, like it's an awareness that takes place. I remember I was around 10 when I discovered I was fatherless as well. And it was like, oh, that DNA test that I took when I was like 4 or 5, that was him proving that he wasn't my father. That's why he went away. So the deductive reasoning and all of the logic starts to come in place. I want to ask the people on here, when did you guys discover that you were fatherless? Was it before 10? And I'm talking about the same way Aaron and I are talking about. If it was before 10, put a 1 in the box. If it was after or at 10 and after 10, put a 2 in the box. Let's see what we get, Aaron. Because I think a lot of us come to that awareness. We know we ain't got no father, right? But the understanding of what that feels like hits you around that time. Like you're saying, you were like, oh my God, my friend is gone and he's with his father, and you have a flood of emotions that you don't even know what to do with.
Mm-hmm.
So Nydia said it was before 10 that she recognized the emotion. If it was before 10, between birth and 10, put a 1 in the box. If it was 10 or later, put a 2 in the box. I think I said that right. Nydia said it was 1, so it was before 10. Nydia, you're gonna have to talk to us about that, girl. Let's see. Yeah, because Becca said it was after 10. Yep. So she put a 2. So she's in the boat with us. Yeah, I knew I didn't have a dad, but the implications and the feelings about that, I didn't feel that till around 10. I didn't feel that till around 10. And I think that's because we don't have an understanding. We're developing, right? And so this fifth stage of development, Aaron, is about exploration. It's about understanding who we are and our identity. It's about sexuality, which we're going to get into. That's the fifth stage of development. And so it helps navigate who we are and where we are. And I think some people, it was way after 18. My husband, we can have that conversation because we had it on here. It literally happened on a Facebook Live. My husband said he didn't even know he was fatherless until he married me, which caused me to start, I've got daddy issues. That's how that whole new brand started, to help fatherless adults connect the dots to their pain. That's what this came from. And he did it while we were on a Facebook Live. And I'm like, what you mean? You were 42 when we got married. But he said, he knew he didn't have a father, but it wasn't associated with any trauma or any pain or anything that he'd ever dealt with. Nydia said, I was 5 years old going on 6, and I knew because everyone in school had a father and I didn't. I remember asking my mom's best friend if I could call him dad. Wow. Did you hear that, Aaron?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and I know a 3-year-old who did that. Like I had a mom call me back in the day. Her 3-year-old was walking up to other fathers who were picking up their children in daycare, saying, "Dada, Dada, Dada," and I was like, "Whoo, that's tough." She asked her boyfriend's mom if she could call him dad. Okay, got you. BF. I'm sorry. Or yeah, her mom's boyfriend, not her boyfriend's mom. Her mom's boyfriend. Becca said, I used to tell my friends that this truck in our parking lot was my dad's work truck. I was 10. We lived in a huge apartment complex. And Becca, are you saying that wasn't even your dad? I used to tell my friends that this truck in our parking lot was my dad's work truck, and I was 10. Oh, wow, I'm scared. We lived in a huge apartment complex. And some people will say, my dad's dead, my dad's working, my dad's doing this. Because we understand that it's painful, but we can't quite grasp the level and the severity of the pain. So, did you know that, like, in the midst of your friend going away at 10, Aaron, were you like, this hurts me that I don't have a dad, or I'm just hurt my friend is gone? Did you understand those feelings?
I didn't understand the feelings, but I knew I was more upset than normal. Like, again, I was the only child, and I had friends that, like, I grew up with my best friend at the time. He was a year younger than me, and like we were friends from the womb because our moms had us around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But he lived with his mom and his stepdad when they lived not in the same area, so I didn't get to see him all the time. But and anytime I wanted to, I had to partner away from my friends. I would, not be okay. I wouldn't be like freaking out upset, but this one hit me a little bit harder.
Yeah. Do you think it
Um,
had to do with the fact that he was going to see his father?
the idea of father, because I think if I can ask, I have a village of mamas, y'all. Because by definition, I might be fatherless, but I literally have a village of mothers. And Mama Carolyn, I distinctly remember asking her something, and she talked to my mom about it, and my mom talked to me about it. But I don't exactly remember the language, but I know it had something to do with me being upset about him getting to see his father and me not having one.
Yeah. And that's deep that
And
you even say it that way. Him getting
yeah,
to see his father and me not having one, although you know this man's name. So let's go into that question. Have you ever had a relationship with your father? And if not, why?
so
We about to get into it.
yes, we are. Um, I do not have a relationship with my father. I learned later that the name of my father um, was not correct. I found out that it was happened to be his brother, and I found that out. I'm gonna go back and forth a little bit. I remember going to this weird doctor's office that was not my normal doctor. I have a very strong memory, so I'm like, this is not Doctor Z. Where are we going? My mom didn't break it down. She didn't tell me. We went to a place to get my blood drawn for a DNA test, and I remember seeing this picture.
Wait a minute.
Um,
Hold on. You remember going to getting a DNA test done too, Aaron?
yeah.
Do you know that's part of my story?
Oh wow, no.
Yeah, one of my first memories, like I can go back, but one of my first like real intense memories is going to this brick building. I had on a red turtleneck and blue jeans. I don't know why I remember that. But I walked into the building, they kind of poked and prodded me. That's all I remember. And that was the
hmm
last day I ever saw the man that had been in my life. I had a father from birth up until
hmm
about 5. And that was the last day I saw that man. And I guess that's why it was so impactful. But the DNA test is crucial. Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that. Okay. Continue. I'm sorry. And let me say this
Oh
before
no,
I
you
get you to
good.
go. Becca literally said she made it all up. So that truck that was in the parking lot that she said was her father's truck, Aaron, she made it all up. She said she knew
Mm.
she was missing a dad. A lot of the kids in her complex had dads, so she created her idea of a
Whew.
dad. And he was a construction worker. And imagine the kind of truck he'd drive. And she found one that matched her imagination.
Mm.
Jesus. What's my favorite color? My husband said it's red. I don't know if it's my favorite color, but I look good in red, is what people say. And it's funny that the stuff with the foundation is red. Like, I think God orchestrated that. But anyway, I want to, yeah, yellow and turquoise are my favorite, but he knows that red is, it's in there somewhere. It really is. So let's get back to, this relationship and going into that and with your dad. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you were talking about the
No,
DNA
no, no, it's
test.
okay. Yeah, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So that space, I remember it was very colorful. It was you could tell it was kind of catered towards kids.
Yeah.
I just remember that, and actually, I know where that building is now that I'm
Mm.
back home. I know exact. I work not too far away from that building. I don't know if it's still the same space, but I know exactly where it's at. Neither here nor there. So I remember getting that result paper back, and I couldn't see. It was in black and white, And I remember was seeing the name, um, and then seeing like a silhouette of him. My father is chocolate. He's very, very dark skinned, so that's probably why I didn't see him on the black and white paper. But little joke for myself because I'm like, wow, I literally
Right.
could not see his face. Like, and I'm like, okay, interesting. So fast forward to somewhere along history between 10 and my teenage years, that conversation came up. This is your dad's name. It's my senior year of high school. I found out after I knew his name was Willie J. Reed. My mom had came across his card and one of his business cards from another friend who knew him. And my mom was like, if you want to reach out to him, feel free. I don't have anything to say to him. And I'm like, okay,
You're like,
this is
oh.
my shot. Why not? This is my shot. Why not? Let's go for it. I muster up courage to reach out. The first thing he says to me is, mind you, I'm 18. No, I was 17 at the time. And he says, I said, hi, this is Willie. This is Aaron. Gregory, do you know who I am? He says, I know who you are, but I don't know you.
Mm.
And I'm like, wow, that's a weird first thing that you say to somebody at all. No, hey, how you doing? Let's talk
Let's
about this.
talk.
Or
Yeah.
yeah, it was, and I must have called him. I don't think I did. He said he was at work and he would call me back after. It was literally like a minute of conversation. I was on my way to work, and then he was like, yeah, I'm kind of busy. Yep, it was around Thanksgiving. He was like, Thanksgiving weekend, I'll give you a call back. He never called me back. So fast forward to graduation, and this is crazy how God literally works. So I went to Central High School in Omaha, and we have a foundation with over like 50,000 alumni. And we have every year, it's a tradition for the seniors to do a scavenger hunt. So we had to do a scavenger hunt all over the city, find these items, and the last place was at the foundation. We had to get a yearbook, 1988 yearbook, and me and my friends were just laughing and talking, and the lady was all, oh yeah, we have all this alumni, and I'm like, I wonder if my dad went here. Now,
Mm.
y'all, I have nothing against, people. I love all people. So when I say this white lady, I don't mean it derogatory way. But yeah, this
Right.
white woman, she was like, oh, okay, let's see if your dad went here. And I'm looking at my friends, and we're just kind of like giggling, like, child. So she types up his name. Once I give her the name, she finds his name, his address, where he works, phone number, all his information. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, you happen to have a picture? Because that was the only thing I was thinking about at this moment.
Okay.
She
Identity.
pulled up his picture. Yes, she pulled up his picture. And his picture was in the yearbook that I needed for our scavenger.
His picture was in the 1988 yearbook. That's really like, that feels a long time ago. I was in middle school, which is odd that you probably were in elementary school. But um,
But
that's
yeah,
the book
like
that you needed.
he.
See, God, you guys have to understand that God leaves little sprinkles and breadcrumbs along the way for us, right? He
Mhm.
will do that. Like, you have to understand. It's connecting the dots to your pain, but you have to, in a sense, like Aaron, you have to be looking for it, be willing to connect with it. When you said that, you were like, I wonder if my father went here. Not everyone's having that dialogue within themselves, Aaron.
Right.
They're thinking, let me just find this yearbook. I'm just going to find the yearbook, or I'm at this school. They're not thinking maybe my father went here. There was something in you that God was leading you to connect the dots to help you
Mhm.
in the place of your identity, even at 17, right? So how did that pan out after you get named? You see his picture. You've got contact information once again. How does this pan out?
So I literally in awe. I'm in shock.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends, I have hilarious friends with me. So of course she's like, well, God, I see where you get your lips from, and we all just started laughing. I look like a
A light
a
skinned
brown
version.
version. Yeah, a light skinned version of my father,
Yeah.
literally from high school, like literally. Um, and the lady was like, "You don't know him?" I said, "No, ma'am." I said, I've never met him. I just knew his name. She started crying.
Oh,
She was just like, oh my God. She was like, you are such a sweet young man. If he doesn't want you, I'll take you.
oh. So let me ask you this, Aaron. Let me ask you,
Yeah,
or let me ask the people. Let me ask this question, because we're gonna get into this gender identity as we build on this conversation. Let me ask you this question. So you see a picture. Everybody says, "I see where you get your lips from." Aaron, we have full lips. Like Aaron's got full lips. I got full lips. It's a thing. So he
right.
clearly had that mouth that his dad, like the same mouth. Was that a moment for you?
To see myself in him,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. To see yourself in this man who you've never met, you've never seen, and who hung up the phone basically and lied to you and never connected with you again. Now, I've got to lay the preface that there is way more layers to this story that we are not
Yeah,
going to touch tonight because we like to protect the innocent. This is our story and our journey. So there's parts of the story that we're not going to touch simply because I think people deserve that level of privacy. But this is
absolutely.
Aaron's, huh?
No, I said absolutely.
Yeah, this is Aaron's process of how he got to the place where he is. So Aaron, when it comes to your father, you got his information, he's rejected you, you now see him. I know I'm going to speed this up a little bit. I know you've reached out to him multiple times, but he's
Yes.
rejected you every time. How
Hmm.
has your father's rejection impacted your journey in this life emotionally?
It is a big question of why. What did I do? Um, Everyone is familiar with the Fresh Prince of Bel Air when Will
Mm.
Smith had that moment with Uncle Phil at the end when he was like, I'm going to be a greater father than he ever was to me. And he breaks down and says, why did he want me? Literally, my emotional experience.
Okay.
Um, I I've had those questions. Why doesn't he want me? What did I do? You know, what and literally what do I do? Any moment that I've had with him from 17 to 23 to 26 and then even 30, these are all key moments where I've interacted with him in some shape or form and he's rejected me every time. The first question is, what did I do? And it's heartbreaking. It's literally gut wrenching. It hits me to my core because the void is already there. So it's almost like it's like you have a open wound and someone taking a knife and continuously stabbing you with it,
Yeah.
and that's how it feels. And to not understand, I do like you said, I can't go into all of what has happened. That's why, but I still don't, even though I know the story and the truth
Yeah.
as to what happened between him and my mother years ago. I don't know why he's still in this stage of life rejecting me, and that's just the biggest question that I have. Like, I don't want anything from him as far as like I don't want his money. I don't, what I'm saying. I'm hopeful that if a relationship is to come, I'm open. I'm very open to it, but at this point, the ball is in his court.
Yeah.
So feeling his rejection, it's just like, man, like what the hell did I really do to you?
And let me say this. I will preface this by saying what I'm always going to tell you. This has nothing to do with you. This is between your mother and your father, and I've told my people that too. So I keep forgetting to put this up on Be Live. You got people on here. Nydia says I still ask myself the same thing to this day. Becca
Mm,
says I do too. Okay. So you got people who are asking, although you know the details and the elements, what it does is it stalls you emotionally. It
yeah,
causes arrested development to happen in many of us where we're still stuck at an age and in a phase of life that's
Ooh,
much younger than our years. It's much younger than the years where that we're living. I'm 46, right? But I think there are times when I'm stuck, maybe at that moment where I was the 5-year-old little girl going to the DNA office, and that moment happens, right? Although I've been
yeah,
reunited with my father, there's still some things that you got to work out in yourself.
yeah,
because the trauma took place, whether it was intentional and whatever it is. So that's, that the truth is it has nothing to do with any of you. It's how you got here, right? Like the how you got here is the dilemma. What that looks like is the dilemma. Were your parents in a relationship? Weren't they in a relationship? Did they get a divorce? How did they get a divorce? Were they bitter at each other? So did somebody cheat? It's all of that stuff that hinders the relationship between you and your father. Is it right? Is it fair? Absolutely not. But that's just where things are. I want to go back to Charles. He said, I've heard Dr. Torri tell her story many times, and I never heard that one. I'm sorry, Charles. I never talked about the DNA story at the conferences I've spoken at, because Charles has been at a couple of conferences I've spoken at, and I pick a topic and go with it, and maybe Charles, that's kind of where I'll go in June at the conference you're gonna be at. So yeah, let's see. Becca said something. Hold on, let me see what she said. She said, Becca says, I go back and forth between my current age and 5 when my trauma story started. Jesus. That's a message. But this is what I love about my people. Becca and Nitty are talking a lot tonight. I think this is a conversation people are like, let me listen first. They sure. But Becca, my people are very vocal and they're very honest and they're very aware, Aaron, especially all the work we've done. I've been doing these Healing Tuesdays for what, about 8 months, guys? And we've been on here. Nydia, I got to tell Nydia's story. Nydia emails me last night and she says, let me tell you something. I was literally on last night waiting for Healing Tuesday and it taken a while. And she was like, wait, she's not on. And she realized it was Monday. That's how much they anticipate Healing Tuesdays, Aaron. She was on a day early. And that makes me feel so good that I'm providing, just conversation and information to help us navigate the pain. So just so you guys know, the rejection has impacted Aaron emotionally by stalling him, by creating those moments that he can remember. You heard, and let me say this, I heard 3-year cycles. Let me be clear. Did you not hear the 3? Because you gave numbers and they were 3-year cycles. So there's something about 3-year cycles for Aaron that causes him to go back and revert into this moment with his father, who he knows he's checking in, but he knows in his heart he's going to reject him. Okay. So let's think about what our cycles look like. Let's ask ourselves some of the stuff that triggers us to get us to reach out to our fathers, or ask that question that you guys have been asking. What did I do? Why doesn't he want me? What's the trigger? What's the cycle? What does that look like for you? So let's jump in. So once you get into this rejection place, this place of of being stalled emotionally, you didn't know that, but that's what we know now. When did you know you were gay? Because we had a conversation that you were like, I don't believe I was born gay. That's why we call this born broken. Because our girl, look, Jackie Hill Perry is my girl and Aaron likes her too. And so our girl called it born broken, and I've been using that. Because that works no matter what sexual orientation or preference that you have. Born broken is across the board. So when did you know you were gay, Aaron? Or when did you first start questioning it? Let me ask that. That'll build.
Well, no, it's weird because, like I said, there's a lot of back and forth. But if I can be, I am already being honest. I'm talking to people on Facebook. I don't know. I think I realized that I had attraction to, because I was young at the time, other guys. I was 13. Okay. Yep. 13. I mean, like I said, I was sensitive. I was, as a kid, I was not the typical boy. I was a typical boy, but then I wasn't. I didn't really care for sports, but I'm a huge Power Ranger fanatic even to this day. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I like boy things, but I just, I had a couple guy friends, but I always kind of clicked to some degree better with girls as I got older. Because I think boys, just once we all started to gain more awareness of who we were as people, and what we have and what we're lacking, more guys started to gravitate away from me. and I kind of gravitated towards more girls, but I always was like the best friend. I was
Yeah,
always
hanging
the
out with.
friend. And,
Yeah.
yep, I was always that. And at that time, like I realized, okay, I'm looking at these guys in the locker room a little bit longer than I should be, but of course I'm not going to say anything. Mind you, I went to a Christian school, kindergarten through eighth grade.
Got you.
But they didn't go into that subject until we. I also went to a white conservatory Christian school. They would talk about how they talked me into cutting up my Pokemon cards, like that type of situation. Um, uh, and but my grandmother, who was extremely devout in the faith, was also like my rock, my best friend in the family. You know, she always would ask little questions here and there, like, "You're not funny, are you?" And I was a smart kid,
Mm.
so context would be like, "No, I'm not. I don't even know what that means, but the way you're saying it, no, I'm not."
You had an
You know what I'm saying?
idea.
So
You had an idea.
exactly, you're right. And I mean, to give you guys a little more information of my family, my immediate family on my mother's side is small. Like at the time I was born, my grandmother was married to a guy, Mr. JC, who's now resting in peace. Um, but he wasn't a family favorite. Apparently, I yelled at him as a 5-year-old because he was yelling at my grandma, which is a funny story of the family to this day. I was always defending people, which I still do to this day. Um, I have my mom and my aunt. They're 3 years apart. Um, they're not as close, but it's just them two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then my cousin and I, we're 5 years apart. She's younger than me, and I have a 16-year-old sister now. My grandfather, who also passed on last year, he was in the picture, but he was the one who just provided any toy that I wanted. He always got it. But we never. It's very rare that we ever hung out or had those type of manhood conversations.
Mm.
So there's one moment he did take me fishing, like maybe once, and one time I helped him build a deck, which those moments I'll always remember. And he always made me laugh because he was a nutcase. He was always funny, but he never just those personal, deep moments that just wasn't in his cards to be emotional like that. So fast forward to me realizing I was different. You know what I'm saying? Sexually, it's like okay, I realized I see that I have this attraction, or I see that I'm looking, but I can't go. I can't. So then, what do? You suppress it, right? You
Right.
suppress it, and you go forward. So that's what I did. I had a couple girlfriends, but they were always the chick that should not have been my girlfriend. I felt like I was trying to the bad girls, real bad
I was
girls.
gonna
Ooh,
ask, what
bad
kind
girls.
of girls were they? You said the
They were,
bad girls.
they were bad girls, bad wild girls.
So what
Why?
woman
Because
did
they
they
gave me a.
emulate? Who were they emulating? You were just picking anything.
Well, I think for me, because like there's the girls that I did like. One girl I was obsessed with in high school. I just thought she was just always so pretty, and I tried to work up the courage, talk to her, like write her poems and stuff like that. But she just didn't, and I realized most girls that I thought were attractive didn't really, see me that
Mm.
way. I just easily, oh, you be a good guy to marry one day. Okay, bye. And then like the girls that I did date, I think they were girls that I was a goody two shoes. Mind you, I was a
Mm.
very good kid. So I think they showed me something that I didn't do. And they also were the girls that gave me attention.
Okay, so let me ask you this. My husband is silly. I'm gonna get to some of the comments on here in just a minute, guys. My husband actually just said hood rats question mark.
Yep.
He's so wrong on here. I tell you, he's the comedian on here when we're on here. So Nydia says here, she says, I know it's not my fault, but my mother always talked and slash talks still present about all the bad things my father did before I was even a twinkle in anyone's eye. However, I still
Mm.
wonder why he doesn't want me.
Mm.
Becca says, my mother told me that my dad hated me and that he never wanted me. I wasn't allowed to talk to him, and she'd hang up if he called. Not long after the call stopped, she blamed him. I internalized it as it had to be my fault. I never learned that it's not my fault, but it has made a lasting impact on my self esteem.
Can I
Oh,
touch
she
on
said,
that?
I'm sorry, she said, I've since learned that it's not my fault, but it has made a lasting impact on my self esteem. Wait, what'd you say?
Yeah. I wanted to touch on that. So
Yeah.
basically, what you're in no this is is the fact that I'm getting out of this. Your mom basically placed her hatred in your hands, and it was a burden that you weren't even able to carry. So therefore, you're internalizing that hatred. Because now you're not internalizing it as you hate him, but you're internalizing the effect of her hating him.
And it
So
becomes
now,
self-hatred, Aaron, because
exactly.
I'm half of him.
Yeah.
It's
So
identity
now
piece.
you don't know where it comes from.
Yep. And then in the midst of like what you were just talking about, so you're going, you even said you went back and forth for a while about this whole gay thing, right? You
Mm-hmm.
listed all the women in your life, all the women in your life. When I first started this series, 4 weeks ago, we've been doing this for 4 weeks, and I change every month, and I realized we're still in March, so let me see if I can call Aaron and get him on here. Um, we talked about a little boy that I met in Boys and Girls Club, and he was 11 years old, Aaron, and he was very effeminate. Like he would be like, honey child, smacking his lips and all this stuff. But when a girl walked by with a booty, he'd turn and look at it and be like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. And one day we did our letter to our father, which I need to tell you guys need to write that letter. Like if you're on here now and you ain't heard me say that, y'all need to write a letter to your father. You ain't got to mail it, just write it. Just get it all out on paper. That's part of the journaling. Um, when we wrote a letter to our father, it became a moment for this young man. And it was a moment for me that I'll never forget. He's 11 years old. He's in that age of development. And he didn't want to go back out into the Boys and Girls Club after being in such an intense class. So he asked
I'm
me if he
sure.
could come back in the conference room and sit with me for a minute. And it was him and two other girls. They were just not okay. Like, and so we walked through some healing aspects and to get them back to where they could just kind of focus. And this young man went nuts. And he was like, my father lives in Tennessee and he refuses to see me. And I don't know what that's about, but I'm hanging out with my mother and my grandmother and I'm acting like them and people are thinking that I'm gay.
Mm.
Aaron, I turned around because I didn't want him to see my face. So that let me know that there's an effeminate nature that sometimes boys get when they're raised
Yep.
by single mothers that then puts them in a position of being gay, although they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yep.
where we can come to a place of saying, oh, you were born that way. See, you've been like that since you was about 5, 6, or 7. And then girls are trained to be masculine. And it doesn't work because that's what you was dating. You was dating hood rats, but they were masculine energy to match your effeminate energy.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what you were dating.
I
And
can see
so,
that.
because you're raised by all these women, you
Yep.
carry this energy, this personality that's effeminate that would lead people to go and maybe and your attraction was clearly there. Do you think, and once again, we are not trying to deliver people. I'm trying to help you connect some dots, y'all. Just
No,
be
you're fine.
no, and I have to no, I'm prefacing that just not just for you but other people. Do you think
Yeah.
your effeminate upbringing caused you to have that attraction towards boys?
Say that one more time.
Do
Sorry.
you think your effeminate upbringing, being raised by your mother, your grandmother, it caused you to be attracted to boys? Because number one, girls aren't interested in you. They not the girls you like. So do you ever think that that was a part of the process? Because I know people are thinking this and they're asking this question. So I want to know.
No.
Okay, all right.
No. No.
You like no? I just like boy. I like the boys. I love it.
No, literally, that was my thought. Y'all, I'm a person there. I will be very transparent, but the first thing that comes to my mind, I've trained myself not to always say the first thing.
No.
But yeah, basically, I've come to realize my attraction is to males, and it wasn't because I'm being rejected. I think even when I had the conversation, I know I might be jumping ahead a little bit. When I had the conversation with my mother, when I came out to her,
How
she
old
was
were you
very
when you
upset.
came out?
23.
Okay, young,
And
but how old are you now? How are you? Old are you on Thursday?
31 on Thursday.
Okay, okay. So, all right,
Yeah.
not too long
So,
ago. You still new.
right.
You
Hmm.
still new.
Yeah.
And let me say
So,
this.
like,
Let me say this
go
before
ahead.
while we're talking about birthdays. Aaron's birthday is on Thursday, but while we're on here and he's on here cracking jokes and talking about hood rats, my husband's birthday is tomorrow. So everybody say happy birthday to Mr. Barton as we will be approaching
Happy
a
birthday.
certain
Happy
age here
birthday, Mr.
shortly.
B. Yes.
Becca said Dr. Torri J asked the hard questions. I want look, that's who I am. My husband can tell you. I don't like to beat around. I like to get to the solution, right? So and
Hmm.
this is my friend. If you're
Yeah.
friends with me, we need to talk like this, y'all. Like, and if you're gonna
Yes.
be on any
Yes.
platform I'm on, you guys know I let y'all say whatever y'all want to say on this Facebook Live. We have to be able to share like this. This is relationship. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? If you don't have relationships with people who allow you to dig in there and ask them questions, you are not in relationship with someone. That's an associate. That's the difference.
Yeah.
My friends get to dig all up in there. They get to dig all up in there. Hold on, I want to post. I want to talk this because people are talking about. They're still on and I don't want to skip anyone. Hold on. I got to scroll up just a little bit if I can continue. Oh, there it is. Gordon said, my ex had such a visceral hate for me that she alienated my daughter, 35 years of age now. She attended my father's funeral, probably to see if she was going to get anything from his estate. I know I'll do without ever talking to her again. Wow. I know that fathers probably do this too, but it hurts so bad. I say this all the time. Fathers and their children are having the same emotional experience and the trauma experience. They're having the same
Mm.
experience, the same pain and the same level of pain. And mothers, it's not that they're not having trauma experience. It's just not always associated with this moment. It's triggered. This moment is triggering it. It could be their own fatherless journey. More than likely, that's what it is. So
Yeah.
let's continue on this gender identity. So you're questioning, you're going back and forth for a while. You finally get to this place where you've come out to your mother, and now you're picking men to date, to be in relationship with.
Hmm.
How has your lack of relationship with your father and the rejection that he's caused you to feel fueled your choices in relationships?
It's whew, I feel like this gonna free me a little bit and might free some other people too when I say this. I literally have, with the exception of I'm in a relationship now. First one in 7 years actually. Um, Lies. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. First time in a while. But prior to my partner now, I was always chasing after guys who were rejecting me. I
Mm.
had a desire to be around those who would show resistance and not like, oh, I'm just being persistent. No, like, why don't you want me? What's wrong with me? What can I fix to make you like me more? Like, I had those experiences. It's even bled into my career a little bit. You know what I'm saying? As a dance instructor, why aren't these people coming to my classes, or why can't I get this teacher to contact me? Like, that rejection from my father put me in a position to where I found myself. Like, God revealed it to me. Like, you've been chasing. You can find yourself always chasing after people who, as real as this may, as harsh as it may sound, are people who don't want you, people who don't want to deal with you, and it hurts you because you don't understand why.
Mm.
So to answer that question, that's not every relationship was like that, but I found, I am attracted to like men, masculine men. Like, I'm not, and there's no shade to anybody. Everybody has their choice, their cookies, all that jazz. I am not attracted to like other extremely like effeminate men.
It
I'm
goes.
effeminate, but not extremely effeminate. Like, I like actual men.
Yeah, Aaron is.
And
I've watched him in class. He's really like twerking and honey child a little bit in there, but when you're hanging out with him, he's not that dude. Like that's not who he
mm-hmm.
is at all.
No, nope.
He's a guy. Like that's just what he
Yes.
is. But in class, he gonna
Yeah.
out twerk many of the women in the class. So
That's
while
yeah.
I want to, and when I started this series, I didn't think about how common and how maybe common isn't the word, how similar the journeys are, no matter what your sexual preference or orientation is when it comes to fatherlessness and relationships and picking people. I never thought, it's just thought about it. It's something that developed during our conversation. You said a couple of things that I want to touch on. You
Hmm.
said, being in the dance world. So tell the people your dance training, Mr. Yeah, uh-huh. This ain't no
Lord,
regular
of course
dancer,
you
y'all.
would do that.
He's a
Oh gosh,
Morehouse
love
man,
it.
number one. Let's go there.
Yes, yes,
Uh-huh.
I am.
And then you
I'm a
went to New
Morehouse
York.
man. Yes, I started. I am a Morehouse man. I started my dance training at Spelman, so Spelman College as well. Um, Trained under some awesome women, more dance mamas that came into my life, and then from there I went on to NYU, and I got my master's in dance education from NYU in 2013. I teach hip hop, West African, stepping. I trained in ballet for a little while as well. All throughout New York City, I taught for Alvin Ailey's arts and education program. So I would go into schools on behalf of them as a teaching artist and work with ages second to high school, teaching them hip hop and West African. And then I moved back to Atlanta, and that's when I started my dance fitness journey.
Okay, so y'all hear all them names. This boy is successful, but there were still some questions like, well, why ain't they calling me back? There's this self doubt. There's this
Mm,
place that we all have as fatherless children, right? We got it.
mm,
And then one of the things that Aaron talked about that we have discussed on this particular series, but we've discussed it before. See, Aaron, what we do as fatherless children is we pick the relationship. Yes, Nydia, I'll say that and I'll show it in a minute. We pick relationships out of this broken place. And what we're trying to do is repair or try to, like a movie, you watch a movie and it's got an ending, but you would like to
yeah.
revamp the ending. You're picking your father with the intent of hoping that you could fix the ending, that you could
Mm,
change the ending. So you're picking those people who are going to reject you because they're coming from the broken part of you. That's how you're attracted to
yeah.
them, because they probably were rejected themselves by their fathers. Like, if you really ask those questions, but typically we don't. Typically, we don't ask those questions. Okay, wait a minute. So everybody said happy birthday to my husband. And then Nydia said, ew, Aries. Okay, sorry, Dr. Torri J. Yeah, it's a thing, Nydia. It takes work. I don't get into signs like that, but I'm an Aquarius. So I'm a little more sensitive. My husband asked this question that I think is powerful. He said, did you seek men who were on the down low?
Mm,
Or
that's
did
an
you ever
amazing
run into
question.
that? Wait, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I said that's an amazing question. Honestly, I didn't. Um, I For me to even step out, what I'm saying, like it was a while for me to step out. So that question, if you're in an environment where guys are just, in that environment, you're not really asking unless you're going further, unless somebody brings it up. So to my knowledge, what I'm saying, the guys that I may have interacted with in the past, I don't know if they did, but when I became more confident, I definitely did not seek that, only
Gotcha.
because I know what it means to, first of all, be underground, if you will. And that was one of the reasons why I came out. Because at first I said I was bisexual, and then I was like,
Mm,
now wait a minute.
okay.
People kind of choose bi, because either they really feel like they have attraction between both, or they use it as a buffer.
It's
You know
the
what I'm saying?
gateway.
Like it is a gateway, exactly. But I knew, okay, I think women are beautiful. Of course, I think women are beautiful. I can see a woman today and be like, oh gosh, she's gorgeous. But if she just don't do nothing for me down there, like it's not, it doesn't attract. She's not attractive to me in that way. Um, but I knew that I was physically attracted to men. So for me, understanding that journey of figuring out when I wanted to step out, I personally didn't seek anyone like that because I know that you are purposely pretending that's a journey that you have to go on, and I don't know if I'm willing to go on that journey with you when
Because
I
you're
know what I've had to come through.
because you're fully out at this point.
Yes, yes.
Being fully out. So looking at all of the stuff you've endured, one of the questions I asked you My husband needs Jesus. Okay, he need help. This boy talking
Wait, what
about
did you
they
say?
talk about they buy because they greedy. That's what he said.
Oh yeah, I've heard that
My
too.
husband is like he got. I like the first question, babe. That like filter. Anyway, Lord help me. So the brokenness of this journey, this rejection, this moment, these challenges. How have you resolved that in the men that you're choosing now, or the man? I know you recently started dating. You sent me some pictures. So how have you resolved that picking broken men out of your brokenness?
I think now, man, one thing that I will say I love about this experience that I don't talk about too much is the fact that it gives me so much more compassion for people in this community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when it came to meeting, my partner now, we have been talking for the past couple years, but we, made it official back in December, but we were dating a little heavier when I came home because we were in the same city. That he's been here the whole time in Omaha where I was living in New York when I first started talking to him. And it was literally friendship at first. Literally, he just hit me up to check up on me. And then, so picking, I knew that he was different from everyone else that I had sought after. He is a man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he has, the experience that I've had. Like, I have multiple best friends, but I have a gay best friend. And we were in the New York streets together. We've traveled the world together. We've done that, and he doesn't have that. That's not his experience. So I get to share that with him, and we both, kind of complement each other in a way, but then we also are working on ourselves individually.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that I have things that I have to work on, and he has things that he has to work on, and it's amazing how we get to help each other work on these things. So it's like we're being intentional about the
That's
work that
called
we're doing.
interdependence.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, interdependence. And that, so it's like I didn't want someone who was going to have all these issues. And, knowing that I'm not perfect, you know what I'm saying? But I know that in Christ I am whole. But in human, I'm still working on things. So I have no reason to judge. But I know there are some things that I just don't want to deal with. And he's the same way. But we both got to a point where we knew we wanted to, pick each other for this time being.
Okay.
And I just, that's something that is literally a daily thing, where we are learning and walking and understanding each other more and more.
And when I think about conversations that we've had, and you even hear Aaron interject his faith in this conversation, how do you resolve that, Aaron? Because there's this place where I sent you a video that I was listening to, and I'm going to
Hmm.
tell what Aaron, he told me what not to talk. Like I know the one thing I'm not right,
Yeah.
so I'm going to bring this one up. I hope I'm okay. I don't know if you thought
That's
about it.
okay.
You said after watching that video that I need to post for people to see, by Jackie Hill Perry, that if I have to live out my life single so that I don't sin against God in that way, I'm willing to do that. How do you resolve that moment? It's like someone who's heterosexual saying, I'd be single because I don't want to be married, and so therefore I'm going to live a celibate life because I don't believe in the institution of marriage. It's kind of it they both work together. So I just want to know, how do you resolve that moment?
Well, one thing that I've come to learn, in this journey is that we all really do have grace. Um, to walk things out. And of course, it's not full permission to just, do what the hell you want to do and just be out here to be out here. No, that's not how that works. But it is a situation where and I'm just, just gonna be honest. I feel like I've made decisions for my life that I owned up to,
Mm-hmm.
and I just realized, okay, God is the one who can change our hearts. He can change our minds. He can change our, passions. He can do that if he so pleases. And if that is the case, I realize, okay, if I go forward in life, if things don't work out the way I would like them to, or things work out just a different way, because that's what happens in life. Not speaking on anything, and I'm not speaking anything against that, I hope, but I'm open to what if this happens, what if that happens. Um, I accept it because at the end of the day, I know who gives me life. I know who gives me breath every morning. And for me, where I'm at in my journey, that's just where I am.
Okay.
So that was my resolve. That I had to get that resolve. When I decided to come out, I cried in my room for 3 hours before I made that decision, because I didn't want to disappoint him. I didn't want to turn away, from the constant that I had. But I just felt as though this is something I just can't shake. It keeps coming. It keeps coming stronger. I don't know what to do, and I felt like I'd rather be in truth instead of telling a lie.
Authentic.
So that's my So that's my
and I want you
resolve.
guys, if you have any questions or any other statements, because I know we're coming to a close. This is our time where
Oh yeah, I
we
have.
start falling
Yeah,
off
two of
here.
my friends. Two of my friends are
I saw that.
listening.
Yeah,
Shout out to
and I
Juju
know
and Thea.
I saw them jump on. I know that this
Yeah.
conversation is a little different, but it's in line because there was a lot of conversation leading up to this, and I thought, why not have my friend on here to have his discussion about where he is? And Nydia just said, she said that is very powerful what you just said.
Thank you.
We have to. I think there's this weird place of what's the word that we use? Tolerance, and there's this weird place of what we consider to be, I guess, how we move, how we want to move. And what's the word that's used a lot when it comes to community and all of this other stuff? It's oh Jesus, inclusion.
No.
Okay, I knew it was in something.
Yeah.
It was like escaping me. But this place of inclusion. But what we do is we separate our experiences when we have the same trauma. And that's what I did not want to do, because there were individuals on here who were talking about their issues with their relationships, Aaron. And they were talking about she's masculine and he's on here and he's talking about how he's effeminate in some ways. And it just really,
Mhm.
and it was just like, we're living these weird gender roles and places of confusion. And it wasn't about in support of or against, or it wasn't about deliverance, as I said before. It was about helping other people who tend to be outside of the realm of my conversation. And we never put fatherlessness on their drama journey. Oh, they gay,
Right.
we just throw you over there. They got a whole lot of issues. Well, fatherlessness is one of those issues.
Right.
And the fact that we can have this dialogue where fatherless individuals and who are heterosexual, homosexual, whatever your letter is and whatever you identify with, can get on here and come together, not from a place of tolerance, but from a place of including each other and embracing each other. And I think that's really what I'm getting out of the series that I've done in that way is beautiful to me. It's beautiful to me. Because I don't know what God's going to bring out of some of these series. I have no idea. And to watch you and you allow us into your head, not just my head or what I've studied, but you've allowed me to get into your head about your journey and your gender confusion. There was a place, yeah, he realized it at 13, he was looking longer, but he also said he went back and forth for a while. So that journey from 13 and coming out at 23, that's a 10-year gap during the time of development that he's questioning a lot of things. Then his grandmother is saying, "You ain't funny, huh? You sure you ain't funny?" She's asking,
Right.
which he knows is a negative thing. I know for a fact, as I said on here before, during that time, a lot of children are having this conversation within their own minds and within their own groups. And you've got to be a parent, a friend, an associate, whatever, where you can help steer them in the right direction. And actually having this conversation helps. Because Aaron, did you have anybody have a conversation with you about your questions about gender and your gender confusion in the midst of your fatherlessness?
No,
No.
like not at all. I
No.
mean, once I revealed, there are a few people, I would say a couple conversations I had that, people who I cared about, that, one friend of mine, we kind of just kind of pulled the plug when the iron was hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just felt like she kind of just stepped away slowly. But, within my family, my grandmother, which was a surprise because I thought she was going to be the one to freak out, but she
Yeah.
didn't. And she was just like, you're always going to be my grandson. Do I want this for you? No. But it is what it is. But after a while, what I'm saying, instead of talking about gender, she would slip in deliberate into the conversation every now and then, like, oh, those who want to be deliberate can be deliberate. And I would just side eye her, like, okay, I need my grandma right now, not Evangelist Charlotte. And then I'm looking on the question,
Yep,
so I
yep,
will
I
answer
see
that
it.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had to
I
switch
will
over.
answer that question.
Okay.
But yeah, so for her now, like the last good conversation, I took her out on a date. We went to have breakfast, and I actually got to talk to her about who I'm seeing now. She actually asked me questions, and it was
Your
it was
mother?
cool.
Your
My
mother?
grandmother.
Your grandmother. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was really cool that she asked, and she wasn't weird about it, or I didn't feel weird about it. I felt very relieved. Now regarding um, my mom, out of respect for both of them, when I initially came out, I told them for notice, not for approval. I told them because I know how word can get around here in Omaha. Facebook was getting more popular, so people, what I'm saying, like my mom and I kind of ended up knowing the same people because people knew me very well. So then they met her, and I figured if somebody was going to say something to her and if she didn't hear it from me, then that would have been a bigger issue.
Yeah.
So I came out to my family as a way of to let them know this is what I have decided to do. And, her response wasn't, she didn't take it well.
Mm.
But, she just, she thought I was going through a phase. She thought I was frustrated because girls didn't want to talk to me. She didn't understand why I had all these beautiful, and I have beautiful friends. Like, I really do, guys and girls. But, like, I was hanging around beautiful girls, and my mom had never understood why. And in my head, I'm like, at that time, I was like, well, I mean, I think they kind of, they thought, and come to find out years later, they all thought I was.
They all thought
They
you
all, they all
thought you
thought I
were
was
gay.
gay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything they held against me. They loved me just the same, but they all thought I was gay, and it would come out
Even
just
before
casually
you knew.
as an adult.
Women,
Yes,
we
yes,
got a
yes.
gaydar on us if we pay
I,
attention
First of
at an
all,
early
women.
age.
Well, let me say this: women, you guys have women intuition, which is never wrong. But not everybody's gay. Not everyone's gaydar is right.
That's true. But that's because they got the filter and they dealing with some stuff. Right. That's what I'm trying to get
uh,
at. Yeah, it's right when you're
right.
young. You get it. You peep it. So
Yeah,
tell us,
exactly.
how's your relationship with your mother now?
So, I kind of went on a tangent, but yeah. So we're getting there. I don't know if that is a we don't talk about it, and I think a lot of that is me. Out of respect, I don't want to make her upset. I don't want to,
Yeah.
because my mom and I just growing up, she was a strong woman. She had a lot on her plate. She was stressed out a lot. She was frustrated a lot. So communication, especially as I got older, started speaking my mind. We always came to blows because it was, you need to stay in a child's place versus listening to what I had to say. But then I'm trying to defend myself, so we were kind of at odds. So now, I have a lot more grace and compassion towards her.
Mm-hmm.
There are tough moments that any parent has with their kid, of course. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I'm my mom's only son. I'm her oldest child. You know what I'm saying? She had me very young at 17, and I'm still her first child that's an adult.
Right.
So I have to understand, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have to sit back and understand, like, for her, it's like, you're grown. I can't tell you what to do. You're grown. You got to do your own thing. You're grown. You're grown. You're grown. So she's very like, you just do you.
And I
And
think your relationship with your mother is not just about you coming out. I think the relationship, and just as his friend, and I've heard, and we've had moments, we've cried, we've gone through.
hmm
I think the challenges with Aaron's relationship with his mother is how he got here and who she had this child with. It goes back to, it ain't about him. That's the challenge. There's other things, because we're human, and he grew up with her, and they've had their own things. But I got to tell you, I think the foundation of it is bigger than just him coming out. I think that's another part of the journey. But I just want to
yeah,
clarify and add to that question. I think it's very much so, like a lot of you talked about, Nydia and Becca, how you talked about it tonight. I think there's some core issues there that have to be dealt with, because our parents are human. They had a childhood too. And that's why I love that Aaron is talking about his compassion for his mother. He recognizes that she had her own experience. He recognizes that she had her own place in life that she hasn't worked through. And that's how, and so they've got to work through some of that. I think I'm going to tell my friend right now on the live, I think you just need to ask your mom more questions. It's a beautiful place. When you ask more questions, and you ask them gently, and you kind of initiate them slowly, and then one day it becomes, like, you can get your mom on Facebook Live like I did and tell her whole shebang. But it's wanting to know them
yeah,
as the woman and not your mother. It's wanting to know them as the
and yes,
father, and
yes,
as the man, and not your father, not the father. That's
and
where
that's the desire, my overwhelming desire for my mother, ever since I was like probably a young adult until now. When I say young adult, I mean like 18, 19. I always dreamed to see my mom like truthfully happy.
mm-hmm,
Um, my mom didn't have a career, a passion. Again, she had me at a young
17.
age, at
Yeah.
17. She graduated from high school. She went to school for a little bit, but then she dropped out because um, she she wanted to take care. It was, I need to raise this child. I need to raise this child. And she went on that mode for survival mode.
Right.
And then
That's
my
it.
sister comes in the picture. She has a teenager and a baby now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now, now my sister's a teenager and I'm an adult. My mom is still doing what she knows to do. And my desire is for us to be able to have a relationship as adults. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, but she also was part of that group of people who are like, I ain't friends with my kids. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
But you're
I
an
get
adult
that.
now. Yes, I
Yeah,
know what you mean, Aaron. Nydia said
yeah.
this. She said it's not easy to ask those questions, especially when she's been that strong, as in capital letters, woman
Yep,
figure since you were a child.
yep,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
It's not easy. Someone asked me on my Facebook Live, how did you get the courage to ask your mother these questions? Right? I knew it was necessary for our relationship. I knew it was necessary for who I am. And so
Yeah.
that's why I said ease into it. Ask a question here and there. Right?
And I see what Becca says. She's absolutely right.
Right.
It's defense.
Yeah. And you've
It's,
experienced that, Aaron, with your mother when
oh,
you've asked about your father or anything. It's this
yeah.
defense that comes, this woo.
Oh,
See?
absolutely.
Yeah, that
Quite
rubber
often.
fence is real.
But one thing I just wanted to say before we move on, one thing that God has really, really worked on me about is removing myself. So this is a pattern that is in my family. I would say that my mom and my grandpa had a very interesting relationship. He was very harsh towards her. My aunt and my grandmother had a relationship that they're repairing. So it's like me and my cousin, like, yo, we trying to break these cycles. You know what I'm saying? Break these cycles in our family because our family's too small and there's no reason why we can't come together. But individually, we all have to get to that point. And God has always been telling me, like, you have to continuously forgive and let go of those moments. Like, I went to therapy and realized that I had resentment that I didn't even realize that I was still holding on to. You know what I'm saying?
Concerning
Resentment that I need to let go
concerning your
of.
mom?
Mhm.
Yeah. Because,
and
Aaron,
I
let me say
needed
that
to. Yeah.
those of us who have fatherless issues got mommy issues.
Mm.
It goes hand in hand. I don't know why. It's just what it is. So I'm going to end this conversation because we could go on and on about this. We could get even deeper.
Ciao.
But and I'm grateful that we can do this makeshift interview. Aaron's working on his internet, especially for our class that we got Thursday
Oh
night,
yes.
right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I will put the link in there. If you guys want to join, you can take the
Oh,
class with
please
Aaron for a
do.
donation.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and he is an amazing instructor. You're gonna sweat now. Your legs and your back gonna hurt. It's gonna be a thing. Um,
Why you
but
supposed to stretch? Now being a teacher, you supposed
right,
to stretch,
I do
Dr.
stretch, but these
Torri.
look when you get a little older, these joints and these muscles, they need an actual like. I've been to the stretching place. Have you ever gone there and gotten let them stretch you? My
Mm.
legs vibrated one time for a whole day after they did that. So I need you to say, Nydia says, I'm a dancer at heart. So I thank you for coming on, even allowing us to do it this way because we couldn't get them with the internet and all of that. But we figured it out where we
Mhm.
could have this conversation to help us understand that we're all my husband, the twerking is
I saw.
you see that? The twerking is great at my house. Aaron, but if they look at it, it stops moving. It stops.
That
Unless
is
I'm specifically
hilarious.
like trying to dance for him. If he look at it and I'm twerking or something, just kind of playing and doing something, as soon as he look at it, it stops. It just automatically stops. But this is the beauty of life where you can laugh and have deep conversations and laugh at the same time. And my husband, I
Yeah.
love how he interjects just in time when it's getting deep and people are
Yeah.
kind of ready to, get that thing in their throat. He interjects just in time to add that element, and I appreciate that. I want you
Yeah.
guys to know it is always my honor and my pleasure to instill, impact, impart some ways into your lives and give you an understanding as to how your fatherless journey is impacting your day-to-day lives, your relationships, your career, whatever that is. I know we had a few less people on tonight, but what I know about my people, Aaron, is they go back in the replay. So I should have said it at the
Oh
beginning,
yeah.
but at the end, now that I'm saying it, if you are watching this in replay, please put replay in the box for me just so I can know that you watched and it was after the fact. Inbox me with any questions that you want me to send to Aaron or any questions you have for me. I am grateful that tonight I was able to connect you, connect the dots to your pain, whether you're heterosexual, homosexual, or whatever sexual it is your choice tonight. That's where I'm at with it. And I am grateful that we were able to have such a candid conversation with you,
Yeah.
Aaron, because you were able to bring to life what we've been talking about this month. So thank you. And we gonna
Thank
get
you
off
for
of here.
having me.
You're welcome. I'm glad I have, as Nydia said, I'm glad I have friends who are superstars who will then come on and be voting. You saw her say that. She said, "We got a star on here." Um, yeah, who will come on here and divulge their lives and their journey. So I will put the link in. I will put the link in here for you guys to like follow Aaron's page, but also join the class on Thursday night. It's after you get
Yes.
off work. And it's one of those things where he's not only getting you dance fitness, but he's teaching you how to relax and enjoy life. And then he's teaching you a few
Yeah.
moves you can take back home, ladies, and
Yeah.
and share with your spouse. So I will get
Yeah.
off of here. You guys have an amazing night, and I will see
Have a
you
good
next
night. God bless
Tuesday.
you all.
All right, bye bye.
Later.